withheld affection to punish him, making him feel insecure. He left. Now I see how wrong I was. Hi, my name is Bella, and I'm in desperate need of your advice. I'm in a fix, and I don't know how to get out because I know I did wrong. Yes, I was totally wrong in how I handled everything, but now I don't even know how to fix things, and I don't want to lose him forever. Yes, you're right. I'm talking about a boy. Not a boy, but a fully grown man, as you probably can't call a 34-year-old man a boy. Well, I probably should let you all know the backstory, but you have to hold on till the end before you judge me, please. I really did not intend for all this to happen, and I absolutely regret all of my decisions, and that's why I'm here seeking advice or anything that could work to get me Sam back. So let me introduce myself again. I mean properly this time. I'm sorry I'm typing this way. I'm very nervous, even though I'm not saying it with my mouth. Even writing this is as intense as if I'm saying it in front of a big crowd. So, here it goes. Hello Reddit, my name is Bella, as I said before, and I'm 24 years old and still in college, final year though. I'm acquiring a degree in business. Oh, by the way, every name used will be fake for some personal reasons. Like I said before, I'm a finalist, and I'm in serious, more like a desperate need of your help because I just ruined my relationship with the most amazing man I've ever met. It was only after that stupid decision I made, and he left, that I realized myself. Now, I just want to get back what I lost, and this time, with no mistakes intended to ever happen again. You see, the thing that happened was that I withheld affection to punish him, making him feel insecure. He left, and now I see how wrong I was. I know how bad that sounds, but I didn't know it was going to be like that. I didn't know better. You see, growing up as a child wasn't fun for me. I grew up in the most dysfunctional family anyone could have to grow up in. My father was a disciplinarian, and I still have scars on my back and arms to tell that story, but that's not the point of me coming here with my story. My dad believed that the best way to show a child affection was through the end of a stick, and the only way a child should respect her parents was by fearing them. I feared my dad so much, and I hated my mom. You see, as a mother with only 2 children, you'd expect my mother to be a lot more concerned about her children's welfare, and also try to prevent their father from touching them with canes for every single mistake they made. My mother would rather spend time in front of a mirror and obsess about how beautiful she should look for my father's next event. You see, my father was a famous politician, and he was very much loved by the public, probably because they did not know what his children, who lived with him, went through every day. I grew up faster than my age, and I was the one who took care of my brother. Whenever he got in trouble, I took the blame, which equally meant I got the lashes too. I tried to become the perfect child so I would avoid the lashes. Had straight A's in school, was voted the most efficient and best student of the year in high school, and I even got scholarship awards because of how smart I was. I wanted to literally please my dad, and believe me when I say despite all I did, my father only ever smiled at me and looked at me like he was proud of all my achievements when he had to play the role of perfect husband and father in front of a camera or cameras. My mother was the eye candy, and everyone wanted to be like her, with a perfect smile put in place and an adoring look on her face each time she looked at her husband that the cameras always seemed to capture every time. We were the picture-perfect family. But underneath all the makeup my mother wore to look perfect was a woman who was trying to please a man so badly she'd look like a doll all day, without even bothering about her own kids. By the time I was old enough to realize I could report my parents for child abuse, I did just that. I reported my father for child abuse, and with evidence too. I read lots of articles of children who had reported their parents and were rescued, and I read a lot about the whole process. So I reported my dad and submitted pictures of fresh injuries inflicted on me by my father when he was trying to correct me for not sleeping when it was bedtime. Somehow, someway, the report got closed. I was told to my face that I was just going through a teenage phase, and I was rebelling since I had always been good before. They sprouted so many lies about being a teenager and wanting to get some freedom and wanting to leave my parents, and I was even told that a lot of teenagers did that too. I almost believed their words, but I knew it was my father's handiwork, and I was very scared of what he could do. I was locked up for a whole day with no food, only water, for trying to ruin my father's reputation. Well, let's just say I learned my lesson the hard way. By the time I was 16, my father died from a sudden heart attack. He had the attack while traveling on a plane, and even though he was given first aid, he couldn't make it to the hospital in time, and he eventually died. My mother couldn't get over his death, and eventually she was so depressed she overdosed on a depression pill, so I became a rich orphan at the age of 18. Since I was legally an adult, all my father's wealth was released to me, and I was allowed to be my younger brother's guardian. And the only way I was taught to love by my parents is not to show any feeling or weakness. Because according to my dad, once you show someone your weakness, they feast on it, and eventually you become a prey, and you might never be able to break free. At 19, I started to build a company, of course, with assistance from my father's lawyer and his personal assistant, who started to want to dictate everything because she felt I was too young to be left in charge of all that. The idea to grow my newfound wealth was mine, and if my father taught me anything, it was never to let people control you. So when I was sure that she had done the job I needed her for, I fired her and employed her own assistant to be my personal assistant on the spot. She was so shocked, and well, that made people respect me even more, and started to think of me as more of a boss than a child that needed guidance. I had started a clothing company that produces the textile needed for other companies to make clothes, and I also make clothes with my own brand. So before long, I was quite successful and one of the youngest successful brand owners. By 21, I decided to go to college because it would be good for my business if I had some sort of educational background, according to my lawyer. I decided to study business because I was already into business, and I originally intended to study online, but my younger brother Elliot wanted me to have some fun and stop being as uptight as he described me to be. At 18, he was already a young adult, and when I asked if I should share our father's wealth, which he left us since I already had my own money, between us equally, he disagreed and decided to leech off me instead. How the boy grew up to become carefree and happy with the world without any inhibitions like my father had taught us baffles me. Maybe because I was always trying to protect him from our father's anger and our mother's indifference. So under his prescription, I decided to attend university as a full-time student, although in a different university from his, obviously, as he had clearly stated that he was quite popular in school, and he would rather people not find out he had an uptight sister who seems to take a joke as an advantage to bite one's head off. It would be bad for his reputation. I picked a school that was quite close to my newly bought apartment and closer to my company, and I didn't have to drive more than 5 miles to get there. Back then, I thought my brother was wrong because I thought I knew how to have fun and be happy. Whenever I sold out all the new clothes I made, I bought myself a very expensive wine or champagne bottle, and I toasted to myself and to my dad's ghost to show him how much more successful I am without him. I also bought myself a mansion, which was a beauty, after the last successful business selling out I had. That was what fun was like to me, and I didn't know any better until I met Sophia, my very first friend in university. We studied the same course, and she was a year older than me and was just coming to study in school for some reason she never shared with me. I didn't mind because I believed everyone had demons of their own, and also I never told my own too. Nobody knew who I was exactly, even in the clothing industry. They all knew that I was very young, but I never revealed myself. When I had to attend a business meeting or an award night, I sent my personal assistant with my regrets for why I couldn't show up. And eventually, they stopped expecting me to show up. So no one else except my brother, my lawyer, and my PA knew who I was exactly. In school, Sophia seemed to think I walked on water because of how wealthy my parents were and how big my mansion is when she came to visit. She was obviously not from a wealthy background, which I guess was her backstory, and she couldn't go to school when her mates did because of that. I didn't mind because I liked Sophia, so I sent my assistant to give her a part-time job, which she was very well paid for, and that made her so happy because her salary was enough to pay her fees and still feed well. I didn't understand what her being happy was about, though. I knew she should be grateful she was able to pay for certain things, but not as excited and giddy as she became every day she was with me, telling me about her new job. It felt like a show of weakness to me, and I did not like that. But Sophia was the only friend I did have in university, so I just kept quiet, and I knew if I had to, I could easily prey on her happiness. But I didn't want to become my father, who was always looking for the weaknesses of others. I met Peter at school, my very first boyfriend. Our relationship was the shortest I could ever record. We dated for just 2 weeks before he decided I had issues that needed to be sorted out. He wanted this mushy I love you show with me, and not that I didn't want to, but I just couldn't. Having to show I loved someone felt like a weakness I couldn't afford. Somehow, someway, I started seeking affection without even knowing it. After Peter, I wanted to feel loved desperately, and all the guys I seemed to come across were just like boys to me, so I started looking out for older men. The second guy I dated after Peter was Joel, and Joel was a married man with a 20-year-old daughter. We were just casually seeing each other and having casual sex. He obviously thought I was a lot older than my age, and I didn't correct him because he didn't have to know. Well, I thought I didn't feel anything for Joel because I thought we were just having casual sex with no strings attached, until I started getting attached and wanting to see him outside our usual meetings to have sex. I had to eventually break things off with him because I didn't want that for myself. Any show of affection was a weakness, I kept reminding myself. When I told Sophia about my affair, she was shocked and told me she thought I had daddy issues if I thought dating men old enough to be my father was cool because they were mature. She tried convincing me that men our age are also mature, but I didn't agree with her. In my head, I had grown up faster than my age, and being with men who were just starting to plan out their lives seemed childish. After Joel, I met Jonathan. Jonathan was at least 18 years older than me, but he was also married with kids. I started to think I was dating men who were married with committed wives because I wanted to punish their wives for knowing they were cheating and still pretending and playing happy families. Just like my mother, who ignored the girl that was just about 5 years older than me, who became my father's mistress. She chose to ignore the fact that my father would spend countless nights at his mistress's place and come play happy families with us during the day. Jonathan eventually got too attached, and once I spotted that weakness, I just broke things off with him. We were together for only 2 months, and maybe it was because of the fact that I wasn't with them for money that made them attached to me. Men like to see strong women and break them into weak, accepting humans like my mother, who any show of love from my father, even if it was in public, made her so happy. All these were my thoughts about love and relationships, well, until I met Sam, my boyfriend. Sam was older than me, obviously, and that was why I gave him any attention in the first place. We met at a party where for the very first time, I showed up as the CEO of my clothing brand. He was there as the CEO of his tech company. It was a party for CEOs to make necessary connections and also mingle and get familiar. My lawyer had told me it'd be good if I attended myself because no one would want to be talking business with a personal assistant rather than the boss. I was already bored out of my mind and wanted to make a quick exit when someone waylaid me. I was angry, but I hid it well under my smile and thought of how quickly I could discharge him. He kept on finding things to talk about and questions to ask me that somehow I couldn't find myself lying about, and that made me uncomfortable. He somehow was able to read me like a book, and it made me want to run the other way across the room, but he asked for my contact, and I gave it to him quickly because I had a feeling he was very persistent, and he wouldn't let me make my escape until I had given my number to him. I guess that persistence was what made his company a big success, but that didn't mean I liked it when he used it on me. I promised myself I wasn't going to respond to any of his texts or pick his calls if he did call, but Sam was a lot smarter than I gave him credit for. When he started texting me, I found myself wanting to reply and even waiting for his texts. We started hanging out more and more often, and Sam was somehow able to break through all the defense walls I had put up. I fell deeply in love with him, and I even told him everything about my past. He didn't mind and taught me how to open up, and that love wasn't a weakness but a strength, and that those who used it as a weakness against others were the dangerous ones that should be thrown into a jungle and feasted on by wild animals. His words, not mine. He made me happy, and despite the fact that he knew I was very wealthy, he would still buy me presents and tell me it's not the gift that matters, but the intention of the person buying it. And his was a show of how much he loved me. Even Sophia liked Sam for me. She had told me that ever since I started seeing him, I was happier, and even my brother, who called me uptight, noticed the changes in me. I guess love did that to someone, except when you go and ruin things for yourself. Sam took me home to meet his family, and they loved me. They were so happy together. His parents, I mean. It didn't look like it was faked like my parents. His father would stare at his wife lovingly without her watching, and she in turn would do the same. They would simultaneously say the same things and would laugh at it and end with a kiss. Sam and his 3 siblings seemed to have grown up in a family so close that I envied their family, wishing I had grown up in something like that. Sam and his siblings were also very close, and they tended to forget the world when they were all together discussing childhood memories and updating each other on parts of their lives they had missed while away. I wanted a family like that for my kids with Sam. I promised myself that I was going to make sure my kids received all that much love from their parents, and I knew that the best man to ensure I got that life was Sam. We were together for a whole year, and I was really happy. Well, that was until the problem started. You see, I caught Sam in a very compromising situation, and I was very upset, though he swore to me that it was nothing like I saw, and that he was being set up. I had called Sam earlier and told him I was going to come over to his house later that day, so we could cook dinner, and I'd just sleep over at his place. I was done with classes earlier than I expected, so I decided to go early to Sam's place, and since I had a key to his house, I could go in even if he wasn't around. But I had noticed that Sam's car was parked, so he was around, but I saw another car that was definitely not his, and I was surprised because Sam hardly entertained visitors at his private home. It was only his family and I that were allowed to visit, and I knew that according to him, his family had this family vacation they did every year, and all of them went for it. And it was usually a week, but Sam could not go because work held him, and then he had decided to join them later with me, so that was one reason why I was going to his place, so that the next day we could join his family on the trip. So seeing the car, I knew it wasn't going to be Sam's family. Curious who the visitor was, I unlocked the door and stepped in as quietly as I could. I saw Sam on his computer, shirtless and working while eating some snacks on his kitchen aisle, and I was just about to call his name to announce my arrival when I noticed a lady in the kitchen flipping eggs in a frying pan. The worst thing was that she was in one of Sam's shirts. I knew that because I had bought him that shirt to wear on one of his business trips. I gasped, and it must have been loud because Sam turned and saw me. He looked shocked to see me before he quickly stood up and walked towards me, trying to tell me it wasn't what it looked like, but I wasn't even hearing him anymore. I just slapped him across the face before leaving. Sam tried several times for a week to reach out to me, sending me texts and calling me to explain why that situation may have looked like he was cheating on me, but he actually wasn't. But I didn't want to hear it. I felt betrayed and heartbroken, and I didn't like that feeling. I cried several times because I had come to love Sam so much that the thought of him cheating on me was very painful. Then I made up my mind that I was going to punish him for making me feel that way. I made him believe that I had forgiven him. I even allowed him to explain. He told me that she was a childhood friend of his who had suddenly shown up at his doorstep, heartbroken because she had just broken up with her fiancé. With wine spilled on her dress, he couldn't turn her away, so he had to give her one of his shirts and let her stay until her clothes were dry and he could send her on her way. But she had been hungry and decided to cook, and that was when I had walked in. He swore to me that he wasn't cheating on me and even called the said childhood friend on a video call, and she spoke to me, explaining just what Sam had told me and apologizing for making me believe otherwise. I don't even know why I didn't believe them. I mean, it was Sam who taught me everything about loving and all, but I still somehow had that mindset that I was going to hurt him the same way he hurt me. I started to withhold my affection from Sam, like I had always done before. I began to rebuild my walls of defense around me, not caring what Sam had to say. Sam tried so hard to get through to me, but I simply made it impossible for him. It was stupid of me, I know that now, but I just wanted to deal with the situation the old way, and it eventually ended up badly for just me. It was my final year in school when I met this guy, William. He was introduced to me by Sophia. He's Sophia's younger brother who was a first-year law student. She had always told me about her younger brother and how much she loved him, and when she introduced me to him, I was instantly attracted to him. I don't know how or why, I just stupidly had these emotions for him, and I ignored them at first because it was stupid. And then again, I was with someone I loved, even though I was clearly doing things I wasn't supposed to with him. William became infatuated with me and followed me around like a lost puppy, and I enjoyed the attention stupidly. He was cute, following me around with his childish feelings, and I know I should have stopped him, but I foolishly allowed him because I wanted to make Sam feel jealous. But before I knew it, I was in too deep and couldn't even get out. I started sleeping around with William, definitely behind Sophia's back. I didn't plan to, but I guess it got in over my head. My trying to make Sam jealous actually backfired because I started cheating on him. Sam was starting to complain about the time I spent with William, and I was lying, giving him excuses about how William needed guidance as he was new in school. But Sam wouldn't buy the excuses because William wasn't even in my department. He was becoming very jealous of my relationship with William. It pleased me at first, his jealousy. But then William's obsession with me became so much that even Sophia started to notice. I was scared because Sophia was my only friend, and I didn't want to lose her. Sam would definitely find out about it if Sophia did, and that meant I could lose everything, and that made me very scared. I knew I had to break things off with William, but William wouldn't stop wanting to see me, and for some reason, I stopped trying to stop him from doing so. One time Sam almost caught us. William had been in my house, we were making out, and I heard my door opening distantly. So I stopped William and listened. I heard Sam yelling my name, and he was coming towards my room. I quickly pushed William into my bathroom and threw him all his clothes, pretending to have just woken up. Sam, seeing how scattered my room was quite surprised by it, because he knew I never slept in a dirty or a scattered space. No matter how tired I was, I would always clean up before going to bed. One time I had gone to his place and I was so tired, but he had asked me to come over so he could give me a massage, and I had agreed. I had even taken a taxi because I was too tired to drive. When I got to his place, Sam's room had been littered with his clothes and underwear, and he had given me the excuse of not knowing what to wear since he had an important meeting earlier that day. Despite how tired I was, I cleaned up his room before I could sleep in it. That was how much I loved my space being clean. So when he showed up and saw my room that way, he was very suspicious of me. I managed to convince Sam that I had just been tired and would clean up soon. I lied to him, saying I wanted to go out for dinner. So Sam took me out, and I purposely left the door slightly open so William could make his exit. I texted him when Sam had driven a bit far from my house, telling him he was safe to leave. Another time, it was Sophia who almost caught us. That day, I was supposed to meet Sophia, but she had gotten caught up with work and had asked me to wait some minutes at her place, so I went there to wait for her. William had been at her place that day, and when he saw me, he was happy and started kissing me. I objected because his sister was going to be there any time soon, but William wasn't listening, and we almost got caught when Sophia entered. We had to pretend we were just talking, with me trying to hide my swollen lips from kissing. Eventually, I knew I just had to end things with William because I didn't want to lose my relationship with Sam and Sophia. So I decided to have a heart-to-heart talk with him to make him see the reasons why we couldn't work. That day, Sam had to go out of town to meet a business partner, and Sophia had to work, which I ensured. So I called William to come over to my place as we had to talk, and when he arrived, I told him the reasons why we had to end things before we ended up ruining everything. I had so much to lose, while he was just going to be believed to be acting on sexual urges and was quite young, so he would definitely not be affected as much as I would. I had so much to lose. I would lose the man I love and also the only friend I had, and that alone felt like a lifetime loss. When I did tell him, William wouldn't listen, and I kept trying to make him see reason, but he was just upset and was trying to reach for me and kiss me. I tried to wave him off, but truthfully, I didn't try enough because I didn't want to end things between us. Before long, I surrendered, and we were making out when Sam walked in on us. I just pushed William back and stared at Sam in horror and tried to rush towards him to explain things, but Sam wouldn't even listen. He just asked me if it was because of William that I had been closed off with my feelings and trying to make him jealous. I tried to explain that it wasn't really the reason, but Sam didn't even hear me because he had already concluded it in his head. Sam walked out of my house and out of my life. I cannot reach out to Sam again, and somehow Sophia also found out. She must have known originally that it was related to her job. She quit and cut off every means of talking to her. Before she did that, she warned me to stay clear of her brother and that she never wanted to speak to me for the rest of our lives. What I've been trying to avoid eventually came true, and now I'm so alone. Even my brother refuses to speak to me because he's so mad I dated a minor. I really don't know what to do at this point. I'm so heartbroken and frustrated. I really need advice on what I can do at this moment. Please, any advice would be appreciated. Update. Hello, Reddit. To say I'm devastated or depressed is an understatement of what I feel right now. I feel so unhappy and stupid because I allowed myself to destroy myself. I came here to seek advice so I could know how to make things right between Sam and me. But instead, all I got were insults and so many backlashing comments that made me feel even worse than I already feel. I feel so alone. I let my emotions get the best of me, and now I've ended up with no one on my side. I feel like, and I know that I've lost the best man out there for me. I'm supposed to be graduating in 2 months with my man by my side, encouraging and applauding me, but now here I am with not even one person on my side. I know that Sam was planning on proposing to me soon because I had seen the box in his wardrobe one day when I had been going through his things to look for a shirt to wear. Now, I don't even have the man, let alone the ring. The only place I can express my feelings is here, and even here, all I get is spite. And it's all my fault. I kept digging my own grave, and I knew that, but somehow I must have thought myself invincible to the consequences of my actions, and I continued. Until now, the consequences are here to stay and remind me daily of how stupid decisions could hurt a lot of things. Just how do I get out of this mess I created for myself? I do not know. I feel so ashamed and stupid. I cannot believe I eventually knew how to love, who to love, and still lost it. For the longest time living with my parents, I felt so empty, and after I met Sam, he somehow managed to fill me up with so much love, this peace and happiness. He just was an amazing person, and I just stupidly threw what we had out the window with my actions. I lost him, and I lost a friend who was like the sister I never had. Even my own brother refuses to be associated with me at the moment. I've never felt so empty in my life. It feels so much worse than when I was growing up as a child. At least then, I didn't even know what I was missing, but now I do, and it's excruciating just knowing what I could have had if I hadn't made some foolish decisions. I threw something good away, and I cannot get over the loss because it's so much greater, and it can never be replaced. I cannot even focus on studying because I just want to cry every day on my bed and wish that I didn't lose him. But if wishes were horses, I'd probably be in bed right now with Sam cuddling me like he would always do whenever I was down. I miss Sam, I miss Sophia, and I miss the relationships I had with them so much. I regret everything I did to hurt them, especially Sam, and I cannot even bring myself to forgive myself. Sam might never, ever forgive me again, and that thought alone is killing me. My heart feels so heavy, and it hurts so badly. Anytime my doorbell rings, thinking it was Sam coming back to maybe tell me he would give me a second chance, I race to the door, only to be disappointed when it's just the delivery man or my personal assistant there, to tell me about another business meeting I should attend in person, which I would refuse to. It's like all of a sudden, I don't even exist anymore in anyone's world. I'm all alone, and it's killing me just knowing I shot myself in the foot. I'm just now trapped in this abyss of regret, reliving the moments I ruined everything. My mind is a constant echo of what ifs and maybes, taunting me with the love we had, and the future we'll never know. Every waking moment is a reminder of my stupidity, a constant ache that refuses to subside. I'm tormented by the thought of living without Sam by my side. Every day is a constant reminder of what could have been, what should have been. I'm forever trapped in this prison of my own making, with no escape from the weight of my mistakes. I'm consumed by the thought of what I've lost, what I've destroyed. My infidelity was a fire that burned everything to ashes, leaving nothing but regret and sorrow in its wake. And I'm left to face the consequences, alone and forever lost in this abyss of regret. Tell me, how can I even ever go past all of this? I'm desperate to know. It's a rhetorical question if you do not know, because I know that there's no moving past what I did. I'm all alone now, alone and depressed, and also forever regretful. Update. Hello Reddit, this is my last post here. I know most of you don't like me, and you clearly express your emotions in the comments, but I still appreciate them. They are better than living with this emptiness, this hell I created for myself. They're definitely better than not even having anyone else to talk to, so the backlashing comments are more like welcomed pain. I'd prefer the hurt from the comments to the emptiness I feel inside of me. Knowing I caused that feeling by myself is not comforting. I hope you guys don't end up the way I did. Thanks, and goodbye.